Hello everyone. You guys seem to really like my last video where I went around and basically did some EVE sightseeing tours of some of the cooler and unique monuments which show off, the key events in player history or major events in the lore. So I thought I'd do another one for you. I hope you enjoy and thank you so much for all the support that you left on my last video like this. It was really nice to see. The first place that we're going to take a look at in this video is the newest monument that's been added to the game by CCP, which is located in the region of Innsmouth, deep in the southeast of Nullsec. And you can take a look at this monument yourself if you go to the system of CTAC J6MT and check out the 7-8 TAC gate, where there is a small anomaly which is labelled a memorial to war. With the removal of the player-built stations that were similar to the NPC stations in Highsec and Lowsec that couldn't be destroyed, except with the fact that access to them was controlled by whoever was able to conquer them last, this monument was erected to pay tribute to the fighting that had been seen over that very station. Now, due to its prime location as a system from which any alliance could project capital power over the neighbouring regions in the southeast, it has seen battles for years and years. Hell, even I've been involved in fighting in that area during the last few days of the Alliance diplomatic immunity. But one story in particular captures my own and many other players' imaginations, and that is the infamous battle of the Siege of CTAC J in 2006. So let me take you back in time and tell you that story myself. After losing a war for months and months against one of the game's earliest coalitions, the Coalition of the South, the predominantly Russian alliance of Red Alliance was in a dire state, with its capital fleet having been decimated and alliance members and corporations beginning to leave. Their space had been conquered, and left behind were only a handful of members fighting a guerrilla campaign against the forces that now occupied their space. But, despite the odds, on one fateful day in May, Red Alliance made their comeback in this very system. Fighting outnumbered 5-1 after taking the system in a surprise attack, they were able to stretch the battle into a multiple hours long war of attrition. And when the dust settled, CTAC J was still in the hands of the now victorious Russians, and the Coalition of the South's fleet was left in ruins. Ever since then, this system has been emblematic for the Russian community of EVE, with it even featuring on the unique skin that was given out at the Russian Live event this year, and it carrying a weight almost akin to Stalingrad in terms of being a huge military victory for the Russian forces. And given all of that, it's no wonder that such a unique monument was crafted for the system to commemorate what happened here. The next unique area in EVE Online is one that myself and Ashtarothi talked about in our lore video, which discussed the Drifters and all of the events which led up to them appearing in known space and attacking players in Nullsec. During that, we touched on something known as the Saline Incident, which followed Empress Jamil's destruction of the Terran superweapon she owned by throwing it into the sun, which led to the ability for Capsuleers to access what we now know as wormhole space. The planet that this incident was named after was once an industrious, if barren, populated world in the Galante Federation, with its vast heavy metal resources being exploited for ship construction. It also had one of the most advanced solar monitoring stations in the Federation, watching the sun it orbited closely, checking for any solar flares or other dangerous activity. That station went offline on March the 10th in Uli calendar 111, and shortly after that, the detonation of Isogen 5 in the blue-white star of the system, following a chain reaction sparked by the Empress's actions, led to a massive wave of radiation effectively cleansing the day side of the planet, killing millions instantly. Then, a few hours later, as desperate evacuation attempts were made to try and get those left alive off of the dangerous world, a plasma ejection from the star hit the planet directly, shattering its crust and ripping it into pieces, leaving only a molten, fiery core where once millions lived. The remnants of what remains of the planet can still be seen, with chunks of it flying around the gravitational well of what was once its core, and scientists expect that in a few thousand years the planet will actually reform. However, if anyone is brave or stupid enough to resettle such a treacherous system is yet to be seen. Number 3 on our list here is one that multiple people chastised me for not mentioning in my first video, and I'm very sorry, so here it is. And this particular site can be found in Test Alliance Please Ignore's current home region of Esoteria, deep within the system of C9N TAC CC. In this system, Cyvox Titan, named Steve, the first to ever be built in EVE Online, became the first to ever be destroyed. This event, however, is one that's mired in both mystery and controversy, as Psyvok wasn't even logged in when the Titan itself had been destroyed. Instead, it had logged out with an aggression timer, giving Band of Brothers a chance to rush down the historic ship and attack it with their own capital fleet after it was left floating in space, defenseless. As such, there's a lot of debate over whether this was truly the first Titan killed in combat, as has been stated a few times, but without a doubt it was certainly the first one to ever die. Now, just to wrap this story up, here's a snippet of the audio from that kill as it took place over 12 years ago, with all the microphone quality that you'd expect from a recording of that time.
Can someone broadcast the Titan as a target, please?
Yeah, the Titan's not showing up for 2 in my count.
He's back
That's
with the vehicle. If you just wait, he will come back.
It's about to go down.
He's dead.
He's dead.
Oh,
Yeah, but he's not dead yet.
That is down. Shut up!
He's not down on my screen.
It's dead. Hang on, hang on.
It's a wreck. It's dead.
Get it, Paul.
Got it.
Stop. Right, who got the kill mail? I need the kill mail right now.
As you can see, some things really never do change. Now, our penultimate site is one that's not really a lore site or a player site, but more of an Easter egg from the developers, so there's not quite as much to say about it as the other examples. But if you head to the Dead End system, which you can find in the Genesis constellation, you'll see a big black slab. Now, it should be obvious what this is a reference to, but if you're not aware, it's to the monolith in 2001, A Space Odyssey. So if you feel like getting uplifted, or just amusing yourself with a nice pop culture reference, take a right turn just before you get to New Eden, and gaze into the reflection and see if it really is full of stars. Alright, and now we get to our final spot. And this one is incredibly unique, just due to the simple fact that it's one that's made and maintained by players, not just inspired by them. And it's a rather somber place to visit at that. If you head to the region of Carnid and warp to Planet 2, Moon 1, in the system of Malia, you'll find an offline pos with hundreds of secure containers floating around it. This site serves as a memorial, not to some great battle or to some in-game event. Instead, it's a memorial to the players of EVE Online who've sadly passed away over the years, and a place for people to pay their respects and remember those who this world has left behind. I have to say that this place makes me well up with emotion every time I visit it. I've even anchored my own container a good while ago for a pilot named Moratharia. He was someone who always stayed around, after my fleets and would chat on comms with me until the wee hours of the morning, until one day he just didn't log in, and he continued to not log on for weeks that stretch into months, until one day his family posted on our forums to let us know that he's passed away. And honestly, I think it's a sign of just how amazing that this community is, that we've decided on a place and a way to remember those pilots who've passed on. It's not a place I'd encourage you to go if you want just to sightsee, but it is certainly one of the most unique places, not just in EVE Online, but in gaming as a whole. So, as always, fly smart, everyone.